What's going on, guys? Welcome back to, wait a second. How does it? There it is. Been a while since I used one of these things. Welcome back to Classic Octane. I am Taylor. I basically wanted to throw together a video today to give you an update of what I've been working on and then show you some new bikes that are in the shop and some exciting projects that are right around the corner. So let's do it. So I finished up a couple of bikes kind of off camera. You guys saw that green CB550 I did an overview video of. After that, I finished a midnight blue CB550, identical to bikes I've built in the past, which is why I kind of just did it off camera. Now we're moving on to this CB500. Most of this bike is going to be very similar, so I'm not going to film a ton of it. Differences with this, we're running a little bit later tank. This is a 77-78 550 tank that has a little door on it. So that'll be cool, and I am going to be doing the painting video on this. The customer is still just deciding on the final color of the tank, and obviously we need to know that before we can start the video on painting the gas tank. I'm also going to do a video on a Moto Gadget M unit. It's right over there on the shelf. We'll be running that on here. I have not done an M unit install on a classic Honda on the channel before, so that'll be pretty cool. We are going to utilize completely aftermarket switches. It's going to be 3 buttons on the left side, 2 buttons on the right side, and I'll go through all of that whenever we make that video. And then after that, in a couple of weeks, I'm going to be doing another Honda with an M unit that's going to be utilizing these stock switches, and I can make a video on that as well, so you guys can have a comparison of aftermarket switches versus stock, and a little bit of differences between those two. This one's going to be running a tack and a speedo instead of just the singular speedo I run most of the time. Everything else is going to be very, very similar to what you guys have seen in the past, but I will do an overview video when this bike is done. Next project on the schedule is this one. So this bike should obviously be familiar to you guys. I built this on the channel a couple of months ago, and this is the 7-day CB550. So I challenged myself to build a complete bike in 7 days. I'll throw a link to that playlist if you guys haven't seen it. This bike has actually been sold 3 times. So it was sold, and then the buyer dropped out, and then it was sold again, and then the customer unfortunately kind of fell in some hard times before they could pick the bike up, had to back out of the sale. Now it is sold a 3rd time, and the customer wants me to make just a couple of tweaks to it before they pick it up. This is the bike I'm going to be putting an M unit in. So it has a full brand new wiring harness right now, but we're going to take that out, put an M unit, but we are going to utilize the factory switches, but they'll get all the other benefits of an M unit, like things, alarm, all the customizing you can do for signals and all kinds of crazy stuff. So that'll be really cool to do that. We're going to swap out this black seat with an English toffee seat, so it'll be a green on brown theme, which will look pretty good. And then we're going to change this tail light and turn signal combination to one of those LED strips that I'll just section right into the rear hoop like we've been doing. Other than that, everything else is ready to go. Since the bike has been sitting for a little while, I'm going to give it a full once over, clean the carbs, all that kind of stuff. But I will be sure to show you guys that M unit install again, so you can see the comparison between aftermarket and stock handlebar switches. And if you want to upgrade to an M unit, hopefully I'll cover all of the bases and everything you need to do that. So now let's go on to another bike. Here she is. So this is the one that I mentioned and I kind of teased a little bit in my last video. That's a bike that I've never had on the channel before, and it is a classic BMW. So this is a 78 R100 that I went with a customer, I don't know, probably a month and a half ago now to buy this bike, local here in Austin. It is a good running, driving bike as is, but we are going to completely change this thing. Some of you BMW purists will be upset by that, but I think this is a really good candidate for what we're gonna do. So this bike is getting every single thing gone through. It's gonna be a completely brand new GSXR front end with the inverted forks, the dual calipers, the entire brand new front suspension. It's also going to have upgraded maybe Öhlins or some like high-end rear shocks. We're going to be doing a rear disc conversion, a custom seat we'll have to send off to get upholstered. Maybe we'll do we might send another mold to Tough Side or something and have them do the seat for us. We're still figuring that part out. custom exhaust. We're gonna pull the engine, clean it up, paint it black, repaint the tank. It's gonna have an M unit with the like RFID key. I mean, this thing is getting the works. It's gonna be tons of custom work, and the idea is that it's gonna be a 70s BMW, you know, at its heart, but it's going to be all modernized. There's going to be no compromises. The customer really wants to be able to enjoy the bike like a modern bike, put tons of miles on it, go for like cross-country touring on it and stuff. So it's going to have to be very reliable, very comfortable, but still be a vintage 70s motorcycle. So I'm very, very excited about this project. Something, like I mentioned, I have not had a BMW on the channel before. I've personally had my eye on an old Airhead for a number of years, and I imagine that this bike is going to make me end up buying one for myself. And look, I even have it right here on the wall next to an inspiration picture of a BMW. So I hope you guys are really excited to see this. I'm hoping it's going to bring in a kind of new group of people that are kind of BMW enthusiasts, and it's going to give us a nice little break from the Honda content that you guys have been watching for a long time. I know I have a lot of diehard Honda fans, but it's nice to kind of switch it up a little bit. So we are in the design phase with this bike right now. I'm waiting for Cognito Moto to put together some custom parts for us so that we can have that front end conversion. We want to keep these cast wheels, so it's a little bit of a process to figure out how to get modern suspension, modern handlebars and controls and brakes and everything mated up with a classic wheel. And then for the rear disc conversion, it's shaft drive, it's not chain drive, so it's slightly more complicated to switch over to a rear disc setup. So we're figuring that out. Some of these models in the late 70s had rear discs, so I'm trying to see if I can source some of those parts, or maybe Cognito can make us a custom hub for the rear wheel. So it's just going to be a lot of kind of one-off custom parts, but this is going to be a very, very cool bike. Probably a little bit more of a long-term project just because of the amount of custom work in it, but I'm happy to have it in the shop and branch out a little bit more, and I'll make sure to document as much of this build as possible. So I think it's going to be pretty awesome. So after those two bikes, I have a CB750 that we're going to be building. It's going to be going up to Dallas, and then I have another CB550 that's going to be going out to LA. And then I just talked to a customer this morning that we're going to be working on a project that I'm not going to fully say that we're doing it yet because he hasn't actually committed to it yet, but it's going to be a European bobber, I'm going to say that. So another non-Honda project coming soon that I'm pretty excited about, and hopefully we'll be able to do it. I just, like I said, talked to the customer this morning, worked out a quote and everything for him, so I just sent that off. We're waiting for him to kind of hear back and see if he wants to move forward. We'll try to get him on the schedule. At this point, I am, I guess, 5 bikes. I have 5 bikes ahead of him in line, so I'm getting very booked out, but that is a huge blessing. I'm very excited that is happening. I also, just in other news on the channel, had a very good conversation with a big organization that may be coming on as a sponsor for the channel, that be able to kind of showcase some of their parts and pieces. It's a company that I have already used a ton of their parts, so I think it's going to be a really good collaboration if we can work that out. I just had a call with them yesterday, and that ball's kind of moving forward, so I'll be excited to announce that should it go forward. What else we got going on around here? The Camaro. I knew there was another project if we didn't have enough going already. I ordered 2 big things for this car. So I ordered a complete gauge set. So from Autometer, it's going to be, the speedo and tach, all of the smaller gauges, fuel, oil pressure, that kind of stuff. So we'll be ripping the dash apart and installing all of those, which is also going to put me down to be able to finally get my ECU and all that stuff mounted from the LS swap, kind of finalize the inside of this. I've been driving this car a lot more, but what I've also noticed is I live in Texas, and if you're not aware, it's very, very hot here. So what I did is I went ahead and bit the bullet and ordered a full vintage air conditioning system for this thing as well. So we'll have a full modern air conditioning. It's the complete kit, condenser, the whole heater unit under the dash, the whole 9 yards. So I'll probably do an install video on that as well. So very soon this car will be, ideally daily drivable. All the gauges, modern LS fuel injected 6-speed, disc brakes, air conditioning, you know, everything that a 2020 Camaro would have for the most part, we're gonna have in this car, and I'm gonna be able to kind of drive it in all conditions, which back when I made a video about this car, that is my overall goal for this thing, is for you to be able to get in, drive it like a modern car, beat the ever-living crap out of it, and drive it home. So that's gonna be the goal. Once that's done, I wanna find some events to take this car to, whether it's like roll racing or autocross, or I don't know, we'll have to figure out what to do. It's a pretty quick car. You know, I can neither confirm nor deny that I came across a Lamborghini Huracan the other day, and believe it or not, up through 4th gear, we were side by side. So I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that this car is as fast as a Lamborghini Huracan, because I know that it's not, but the stars aligned and we were able to keep him right by us and not actually let him pull away. And for a 50-year-old car to keep up with a Lamborghini, I mean, I'll take it. Even if it was a fluke, I'm gonna call that an absolute win. So that's some of the projects we have going on. As you can see, I've been extremely busy, which is a huge blessing as a small business owner to be busy, especially with everything going on right now. So the next couple of months are booked up. We have a lot of projects, as I just covered, in the works, and kind of every day, or at least once or twice a week, it seems like we're getting another one put on the schedule, which is incredible. I mean, that's what I set out to do. So I'm very, very blessed to do that, which kind of leads me to this thought process. I don't know how to phrase it, but I'm at a fork in the road right now, where if I go one direction, it's to be a motorcycle builder who makes YouTube videos. And then the other fork is to be a YouTuber who builds motorcycles. And if you kind of don't differentiate between those two, one of them is what I've been doing the last couple of months, and will kind of have to keep doing the next couple of months as well. And that's building bikes is my primary focus. YouTube kind of comes second. I can film when I can. If I have an interesting video or an interesting how-to or subject or whatever, I can make a video on it, get it out to you guys, and it's primarily for entertainment, to keep you guys included, and to slowly build that audience. The YouTuber who does motorcycles, my primary focus would be making videos, and we're less focused on building customer bikes or whatever. I'm documenting whatever we're doing, building a bike, building a car, out racing, whatever. That's where I want to get to. That's still my end goal. But we just have to continue to kind of build up the YouTube audience, the YouTube revenue, to the point where that can pay the bills. We're just not there yet. So to kind of give you guys full transparency on why there haven't been a ton of videos, it's because to keep the lights on, I kind of have to focus on the customer bikes. I can do a better job at documenting those, and I'm gonna try really hard to do that. Now that we have some bikes that aren't just the same kind of classic Honda over and over again, I think it's gonna be a little bit easier for me to create what I would consider entertaining content for you guys. So I appreciate everybody sticking in there as always, everybody who's ordered shirts and all that kind of stuff. That's a huge help. That puts us down that road of being able to have me focus on content creation as my primary focus. And we'll get there soon enough. So I'll see you guys in the next one.